Hello everyone. So, today we're going over chapter 3, which is all about making decisions. And in order to help you with your homework, I have a problem here that is similar to the homework assignment that you've been given this week. So let's go over it together so that you have an idea of what you'll be doing. So our problem states that we need to imagine you are hired to develop a program for a doggy daycare center that allows the user to enter the ID number of the dog's owner and the name, breed, age, and weight of the dog. Display a bill containing all of the input data, as well as the weekly daycare fee, which is $55 for dogs under 15 pounds, $75 for dogs at least 15 pounds but no more than 30 pounds, $105 for dogs over 30 pounds but no more than 80 pounds, and $125 for dogs over 80 pounds. So we're going to do this as pseudocode again, because I want you to get used to knowing how to use pseudocode in order to develop real code first. So what we do whenever we have a problem is we first identify the variables that we need. And in this one it's pretty easy. So we'll need an ID number for the dog's owner. We can make that either a string or an integer. Now a string can be both letters and numbers, but if we're using numbers as part of a string, then we need to remember that we cannot do mathematical operations on them. So in this case, we'll make it a string, and we'll call it ID number. I'll make this a lowercase string, because Google likes to capitalize things. Then we have the name of the dog. That will be another string. And we'll make that small again. And then we'll have the age. This one, because we know it's a number, we can probably make an integer. Let's call it dog age. Stay small. Alright, and then we have the weight, which could be a float. Let's make it a float. So a float is going to be a decimal number. Or remember, if we're doing currency, we might use it as well. Just stay small. Okay, so this will be dog weight. Alright. And then we have the fees. Now, you might want to use the fees as a variable. However, in this instance, I don't think that that's necessary. So let's go ahead and create our start method. And then we're going to output, well, let's do some calculations first. So because these are all going to be public variables, we don't need to get the input for them, but in a regular program you would. In this case, we're not going to do that. So then how do we calculate how we get to each of these different currencies? So we could say if dog weight is less than 15, then we're going to say, let's make another variable here. So this will be the daycare fee. Because it's a currency, we'll do it like this. So we'll say daycare fee equals 55. But what if it's greater than that? So then we would say else if dog weight is greater than 15 and dog weight is less than 30, then we would say daycare fee equals 75. Now there's an important thing that I want to point out to you here. You'll notice that when I used this and, I have dog weight is greater than 15 here, And I also have dog weight is less than 30 here. Now, some people might think that you would just put and less than 30 here. But that's a mistake because this is not being compared to anything. So it's very important then that when we use the and or we use the or, which will look like this, that we do calculations on both sides. Okay? Alright, we still need to keep going. If dog weight is greater than 30 and dog weight is less than, what do we say here, 80, daycare fee equals 105, right? Else if dog weight is greater than 80, daycare fee is equal to 125. All right, now, if we look at this, well, we're not done yet. So let's finish this up first. So then we can print out all of the information that we put in. So we could say, make this a string, owner ID number is, then we're going to use that concatenation again that we used last time, plus, and then we would say dog's name, and then we would say dog's age, and then we would say dog's weight, we would say daycare fee great. Alright, so that will print out all of our information. Now, some of you may have noticed that what if our dog weighs exactly 15 pounds, or exactly 30 pounds, or exactly 80 pounds? Because if our dog weighs 15 pounds, it doesn't weigh less than 15, and it doesn't weigh more than 15. So what happens if a dog weighs that much? Well, what we can do is we can put an equal sign here. So we can say that if dog weight is greater or equal to 15, then it will do this. And then we'll put the same here, so that if our dog weight is greater or equal to 30, and then we'll put another one here if dog weight is equal to or is greater or equal to 80, because we know that's over 80 pounds. So this is kind of what our logic looks like. Now the next thing that we need to do is transfer this over to our Unity project. So we'll just copy this, and I've already created a Unity project here, and I've already created an example script here. So we don't actually want to copy all of that into our start function. So let's start with our variables, and we'll put those at the class level, like so. Now, some of you had some problems with this. Always make sure that you end your programming lines with a semicolon. That tells the program that that is the end of our line. Okay? The next thing that we need to do is copy over our code. We'll put it here in the start method. And once again, we're missing our semicolons. Now you'll notice that we don't put semicolons after the if statements, okay? Because if we do that, then the program gets confused, because that's not an entire, the entire statement is this entire block. And we need to put a space in between here. Too many. Now, another thing you'll notice is that when we use quotation marks copied from Google Documents, they're not the same quotation marks as inside of our Google Documents. So we need to make new quotation marks. And see how that turns orange? That means that it is a string. So that's another thing that we can easily get stuck on. Alright, and then last thing we need to do is we need to make some of these values public so that we can modify them inside of our inspector. Now remember that we will not be making the daycare fee public, because that's going to be modified within our program itself. And then we'll make sure that we save our script, and then we'll go to Unity. And we'll wait for it to compile. And there it is. So don't forget to drag this up to your game object. Now another problem that some of you had is it would say that you can't attach it because there's an error. Now one of the most common errors that you're going to have is having the file name of our script, in this case example script, is not the same as our class, in this case example script. So whenever you create a new C# script inside of Unity, you need to make sure that the file name that you're giving it, example script, is exactly the same as the name of our class. Okay? And that will ensure that it will compile properly. So now if we go to our game object, you'll see that we have some options that we can change over here. Now the strings you'll see are empty. That's because the program doesn't default anything in there, because we could put in either letters or words or numbers or anything like that. However, these values here, because this is an integer and this is a float, we can't just put in, you know, just random old things, because it's not going to work. This will only accept numbers. Okay, so let's put an ID number for our owner. Let's say that it's number 100. Our dog's name will be, I don't know, let's call him Rex. And we'll say that Rex is 5 years old, and let's say that he weighs 25 pounds. Okay, now when we go to run our program, let's see if it works. Alright, we have our output down here, and we see that it says the owner ID number is 100, the dog's name is Rex, the dog's age is 5, the dog's weight is 25, and the daycare fee is 75. Now let's just clean that up a little bit, and we'll add a $sign here, and that'll look nicer. Now another thing that you could do is you could create individual debug.logs or print statements for each of these so that it would show up, you know, line by line. But we're not going to do that. You can also use some special characters in here which would automatically add lines to it, but once again, that's not necessary. let's go ahead and change these values. Let's say that now our ID user is going to be 27. Our dog is going to be, let's go with Clifford. That's a big red dog. Let's say that Clifford is 10. And I think Clifford's a pretty big dog, so I think that he weighs at least 500 pounds. Now, you'll never have a regular dog that size, hopefully, but let's see if it calculates properly with the size of Clifford. Alright, so we see that our ID number is 27. Our dog's name is Clifford. Our dog is 10 years old. It weighs 500 pounds, and the daycare fee is 125. So we could do some things to clean that up, but that's not really necessary. So, that being said, remember that when we're done with our project, we need to save our script and close Visual Studio. And then we need to save our scene if we haven't done so already. And then we need to save our project. After we've done that, we can go ahead and close Unity. I'll minimize this. And then because I used this last week, oh, I have the folder open here. Oh, Unity's still running. I just close Unity here. Alright. Change this to chapter 3. And then we'll right click on our project, go to send to compress zipped folder. And you'll see it compressing here real quick. And that's going to create a zip file for us. Now, another thing that some of you had some issues with was sharing this document. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So we'll go to Share, and then make sure that we change this to anyone from Milwaukee Area Technical College can view, and then we'll copy the link. And then we can paste that in to our assignment, the text submission area for the assignment for chapter 3. Okay, obviously this is not the project that you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing the assignment, which has to do with ice cream, and everyone likes ice cream, so I think you'll enjoy it. And that's what you'll do. So please make sure that you read chapter 3 this week. Please make sure that you go over the presentation. Please make sure that you do the project, turn everything in, and for extra credit points you can also do a flowchart, and you can message people on the discussion board. So that's all I have for tonight. I hope that you have a great week. If you have any questions, just let me know. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.